Hello YouTube and welcome back. So this is my next video in very quick succession for me, but you might be unlucky and get a couple more from me before this is over. But I hope everyone is well out there because it's not good. Whatever you may think of our great Boris, did rather make me feel ill to hear that he'd gone into hospital yesterday. I think that brought it home more than anything. So I think we all do need to be taking real care of ourselves. I'm sure we are anyway, but it's really not good out there. But anyway, I'm trying to do my bit, so I don't want to be all down and gloomy about it. So let's get back into the trains, which is what we're all there for. So with the RFD depot almost being open now, I've decided to turn my attention to my VGA wagons. I've had these probably from when Bachmann first released them, or at least some of them anyway. So I don't really know, but my guess is probably back in sort of 2006 or something when they were released. Time and half fly, doesn't it? I'm sure someone out there will know, but I'm guessing it can't be far short of that. So, yep, Bachmann VGA. The problem is I could never get them to run because of the obviously needing to change them to P4. This was always giving me a problem, so I was trying to work out what the best way of doing it was. So I've been sort of like mucking around today, and I've decided the best thing to do is to just file these open a little bit. So this is the last one, so I thought I would do it with you, and well, at least I'll do one of them with you, so you don't get too bored. And I'll sort of go through stage by stage when I sort of like do a bit of weathering. I've got some footsteps here and other bits and pieces, couplings to fit. So what I do is I do these wagons, or at least one wagon with you. And then once they're all done, we go down the train set and watch them all fall off. So without further ado, time to take it apart. So back to my own brutal ways. First thing I need to do is cut this back piece off because I don't need that. And I'm also going to cut the coupling off because I don't want that either. I think those that know me by now are probably not cringing. And do is, can you get this a little file flat? Because one of the other problems is where that rocks, you don't get prototypical wagons. They don't rock in that manner, and sometimes what happens is the wheels try and do that, and it sort of like acts as a brake, or it creates problems. So what I'll do is I'm going to stick a piece of lead underneath here, one to give it that little bit of additional weight, and two to prevent it from doing that. So that will be sort of solid. It still will have a little bit of rocking motion like that, the yaw movement, but it'll have none of that because you just don't need that. So that's why I'm doing that. Back to my highly scientific jig. So what I've done is I've drilled a little hole in there, which you probably can't see because it's all full of dust now, but there's a hole there. I simply just pop my axle in there, or my axle box in there, get the file. Do a bit on the other side as well. Now turn it back round and do it again. Give it a bit of a clean out. For the purposes of doing this, for those that are thinking he's mad, the wheels fitted perfectly fine, because I'm P4 and it's 18.83, I need slightly more clearance on these side frames. So that's where the 16.5 wheel was obviously in there. I'm quite happy. The 18.83 wheel needs a little bit more. So hopefully now should be somewhere close to that. Or not, as the case may be. They're in, but it's not free. So time to do a bit more. Try it again, because it's always good to try it and add a little bit more. It's, when you go too far and snap it off, then that's kind of that. It's getting freer. It's still not perfect, so I think we need to do a little bit more, but it is better than what it was. Try it again. Still needs a bit more. Can't imagine it want any more than that. I think I'm just going to give it just a little tiny bit more, just to be on the safe side. It's better to do it now than regret it later. That'll do. Right, so that's that one done. So that's what I've been doing basically for all of them. So I've filed up, been sitting here most of the day filing these up. So that's the first phase, and like I say, I have to do that so as I've got clearance for the wheels to actually spin, because if I'd have just put the P4 wheel straight in there, they wouldn't have spun. There are other ways of doing it. I mean, there are compensation units and stuff as well, which I did on one of them, but I found that I was getting too much drag, so I thought that this might be the better way of doing it, which I think it's going to be. So I've had one, tested out one, and that seems to be fine, so I thought I'd go and do the rest of them, and then we'll see how the whole rate works. So I'll come back to you when I've got a bit further. So I've also discovered that the VVA will do exactly the same thing as well, so I can file that down and get a set of P4 wheels in now, which is good news. But that movement there is just a joke. That's just asking for trouble. I expect that probably is in double O as well, but certainly in P4. Basically, the wheel will try and do that, and then it just skids along the track, and you just major problems. The yaw movement, so that movement, which is yaw, is fine, but that movement there, as I said, what prototype vehicles have that? None. So what I tend to do is just put up a bit of lead under there, and that just puts also a nice little bit of weight in the right place. So unscientific as always with me. Probably shouldn't do it like this, but dab of glue. Piece of lead, which you want to make sure it's actually going to fit before you stick it in. And just check to make sure that they are actually in the right place. So the axle boxes need to be in line with the centre of the spring, which they are. Just let that set off for a minute. You still got a little tiny bit of yaw, but none of that horrific left to right movement. So I should do the same with that end, and that'll work really well. So the next stage of what I need to do is take some of these numbers off, because these VGAs are I think these are probably the original ones that Bachmann did, and obviously they've all got the same numbers on, so I need to denumber them. I thought to myself, this one here is a much later model, so I thought, oh, that would be great. I won't have to denumber them all. But it turns out that this one and this one share the same number, which I think is a bit of a cheek on the part of Bachmann, but I suppose that's business. Obviously, I'm not going to touch this one because of the weather and stuff, so I'm just going to leave this one as it is and take them off of the clean wagon. So that's maybe something just worth watching. Just one would think that because it was an older model, or because the models are sort of quite a long way apart, the numbers would be different, but in actual fact they're not. Wondering whether or not they'd even share with a EWS one, but yeah, there you go, they're both the same numbers. Although one's got the black background and one's clear, they still share the same numbers. So as for taking the decals off, never mind about this coronavirus, I watched Charlie's video and the disaster he had with the Crompton. I felt really sorry for him, and I really didn't expect that to happen. I thought, oh, that isopropyl alcohol, that'll go through that a treat. It certainly did, but not in the way that I think everyone expected. So I'm going to try good old teacup. You can't go wrong, I don't think, with this stuff. As you can see, war-torn where I've had it before. Not like Charlie's one where it was all nice and gleaming clean. So make sure the lid's on, give it a shake. new cotton bud. Try and move it so you can see what I'm doing. And that's actually removed the number really quickly and really cleanly. So yeah, gets a thumbs up from me. Just to make sure it weren't a fluke, I'm going to do the other side. And yeah, there you go, perfect. So that's good. I think T-cut's a good tool, but it's like anything, isn't it? You need to sort of maybe do a little experiment and then see how it works. Right, I'll come back to you when I've cleaned them up and ready to put the decals on. So I'm going to be using Railtech Transfers sheet 6630. So that's basically his VGA sheet. So they're the ones I'm going to put back on. I'm going to put a couple back on with the black backs as well. I don't know what difference that made or whether or not it's on specific wagons, but it'll just make them look a little bit different. So I'll use a couple of clear and a couple of the others just to get a little bit of variant. Okay, so it's time to apply the decals. So I'll just put the setting agent on, a little tiny drop, decals in the water. It should be almost ready to come out now. Hopefully that should move. Let me take just some of that water off. too. Still don't look square. Will I risk moving it a third time? Probably ruin it now. Right, that's it. Square or not, it's not moving again. And just do one on the other side. Go. Let that one set off. Last one. Needs me walk a bit more. Last one. Okay. Right, so that's all three of them renumbered. Brilliant. So I'll let them dry and then I'll give them a clear coat just to protect them. So another key feature of these VGAs is the footsteps. I don't know whether or not you can see them. So I don't know why Bachmann haven't actually fitted them, but this particular one is a Cambrian kit, so this is even older. This even predates the Bachmann ones, and that's why it's got the footsteps on it. And you can make them up out of sort of bent bits of wire and soldering bits and pieces, but I suppose it depends how many hours you've got in your life to be doing that. But I was quite by random. I was at a show and I got talking to someone and he put me onto a company called Stenson Models. I'd never heard of them. They're quite a small company, and they do sort of like lots of little tiny bespoke bits and pieces for various different things. And amongst his range, he's actually got the footsteps. I don't know if you can see that. So it is, the code number is SM24D. As I say, it's Stenson Models. The email address is stensonmodels@btinternet.com. And this is the pack for the VGA footsteps. So I've never used this stuff before, so what I'll do is I'll put one together and we'll fit it and then we'll see what it looks like. But it is certainly a key feature of these wagons. I just thought whilst I was doing this I would share with you how I fit my couplings on the wagons. Perhaps again, like a lot of my videos, maybe if you're the faint-hearted you want to maybe not watch this bit. It involves drills, etc. Hope there's enough light. bit better, isn't it? And like most things, less is more. So start with this and see whether or not. Only use Smith's couplings. Needs a little bit more. Make sure you've got the hook up the right way. It still needs just a little bit more. They're going to get glued in anyway, but it's the tighter the fit, the better. There you go. Fitted. I won't bore you with doing them all, but that's basically how I fit my couplings. I do hope that everybody's well and you're not getting too bored with this lockdown. It looks like we're going to be here for another 3 weeks. I suppose in some ways it's good for me because I've had a good chance to get on down here, so I'm quite happy with that. But I will also be pleased to go back to work at the end of it. So this is my home exhibition stroke lockdown stroke whatever really you want to call it update. This weekend just passed, this Easter weekend, I was actually due to be at York, as I'm sure probably quite a few of you were. I was going to be with the Wirral Fine Scale, which is there or on their layout New Haven Harbour. We also actually had another layout there as well which I help out on, which was Laysdown. So what I said to them was that if they needed sort of like quick cover, I could do that. So effectively I'd have been up there with 2 layouts. So that would have been quite interesting. But unfortunately, due to this, that and the other, it's not happened. But I do believe that it's the same show, or for those that can attend anyway, next year. So hopefully it'll all be up and running by this time next year. So we might get to actually do it. The layout, well, I've been really busy. I don't really know if it's actually going to look much like I have been, but I really have been busy. This layout, or this video, I was all geared up to sort of do Saturday, Sunday and get out sort of like yesterday, Easter Monday. But due to technical problems I had, it all just fell apart Friday. Good Friday, it was really bad Friday. Just for want of pressing one button and it fell apart. But I've climbed my way back out of it. I suppose, as I said, in some ways it's been good because it's given me something to focus on and do. So I spent all these last 4 days really busy down here, just getting as far as I can. So I'm just going to give you a quick tour of the layout before we start. So this end, the RFD depot is now in and functional. So we've got that. The depot shed, or my service depot, that's gone away. I'm doing some little bit of tweaks on that. So as and when that's ready, I'll bring you a video. So the RFD depot's run, as you can see, we've got some wagons scattered around. So coming through the station, not really a lot's changed. There's a new footbridge there. Through the depot, all my junk, or a lot of the junk, is still on the layout, but it wouldn't be me if it wasn't. The Bay Road, we've got the Bay running as well now, so we'll see some trains in and out of the Bay. Coming down this way, I've got a little bit more access to the yard than what I had last time. I've also got access where that 150 sitting is the exit road. Unfortunately, can't actually exit off the layout, so we'll just have to pretend. But that's the next job, is to actually get this layout dragged forward a little bit, and so they can actually exit off scene, which I think will make it a lot more interesting. The yard, we've got bits and pieces in there as well which we need to sort out, so that's also going to be done. I brought a few more bits and pieces. This crossing is now in play, so this is only really sort of a couple of tracks left in there now that I need to sort out and get wired up, but I need another thing for my DCC system in order to do that, so that's on order. So once that arrives, I should have access to every single bit of the track work. But all the track work on the scenic section is now down, so I don't know how well it's going to run, so that's another reason for giving it some running. So first order of the day is to sort out the VGAs over there, shunt them into one line, then to move the span train into the RFD depot, and then we've got an engineer's train coming in with some bits and pieces on it that we need to shunt, etc, etc. So I'm going to fire the 08 up and we can get stuck in with sorting out the first bit over here.